Welcome to another session of HTML, development, HTML class tutorial. I want to mute your side. Okay, so let me present my screen so that you can see what is going on. So the normal process is this, because our first class that we did, I presented everything to you guys, more like this is the way we'll be doing. So the first class we did, what happened was that we did HTML 101. So the way the class will go is that I will send you the video for the class we are going next, and then we'll have to talk about it. So this is HTML 102. I'm supposed to send you HTML 102 first. You guys will practice it. Then we'll come to class to discuss it. That is the flow of what is going to be happening. We have all the course out here. We have HTML from the beginning. That's what we did last time. HTML 102 is supposed to be structure of the web, element tags, and attributes. That is what we are doing today. So the ideal process is that what we are doing next, I would have given you guys video to go and watch. Then we'll come to class and discuss it. So it's going to be interactive. So it will not be the first time you are hearing it. So it's like you are hearing it 2 times. The first time you hear it on the video. The second time you do a practical, I will be around, be available so that you can practicalize everything. You can ask questions based on the fact that you've gone to, watch it. It will be very interactive. When we tried it, it was the set that we tried it on. It was very impactful, and they really gained a lot. Okay, so what we're looking at is HTML 102, and I'm going to be looking at, these are the subtopic. So most of the time I broke this video down so that you can see where what is. So this HTML, okay, this is HTML 101. So we'll move to, and I'm assuming that you guys have watched HTML 101 because it's explained everything that maybe I did not cover in the first intro that we did, the class that we did. So by now you should have installed Visual Studio Code. Have you guys installed Visual Studio Code? Confirm, please. I know, Louis, you've installed yours. What about Gold? Have you installed yours? Okay, I'll take that as a yes. So let's move on. So this 12.14 talks about the outline of the HTML, and 14.16 talks about the HTML as a document. I hinted that in the last class. And then we talked about creating your own page. We talked about HTML tags and elements, other exercise. Then we talk about the exercise. The exercise is for you to create your first page, to replicate what it is that we did in the last class. That was what the exercise was all about. That's what the exercise is all about. So we will now go into, before we go into that, I would like to point out one or two things, and that is the use of the editor a little bit before we move into 102. And after we finish this class, I will send you the live class that we did now, and I will send you the 102 because the 102 is more structured. It contains the flow. So what I'm just doing now is supposed to be a recap. When I come live, I will do a review and I will take question. The class is supposed to be interactive, and all that. If I need to introduce something new, if I need to re-explain again, I will do that live. And that's why we'll have live session, and we'll also have recorded videos. So the blend of both worlds make your experience better. So let me go to one thing that I need to explain on the video, or rather on the IDE. That's Integrated Development Environment. That's the Visual Studio Code. By now, this should be your home. What you are seeing now, let me make that available so that you can see what I'm also looking at. So this is Visual Studio Code, and your own might be different from what it is that you are seeing, but the main idea is that there's a place where your files sit, and there's a place where you can write your code. and we also demonstrate how you can preview what it is you are doing. We did that. Another thing I want to mention is this stuff on the right hand side. You will notice what is on the right hand side here, and that is kind of indication to show you that you need to save your content. So when you have it that way, it means that this content you have here is not saved. And when you have a content that is not saved, it's not going to show on the preview. So if I right click here and I click on preview, because I've made settings on my system, automatically when I leave the page, it saves that information for me. So I don't need to worry about saving every time. So that's to you, Louis. I'm sure you had issue on this part. So by default, your content does not save by default. You will need to save it manually like this. But since you will be working on files consistently, you will need to find a way for the system to be saving it automatically. And that's where we introduce you to the settings. So the settings can be found when you go to file, and then you go to code, you go to settings, and you go to settings. Then you will see something that looks like this. This part here is where there's quite a lot of settings here, and they can be daunting, but what we are looking at is to save, auto save. So I will search for auto save, and I should see something that will help us to do what it is we want to do. The first option that we have here says auto save. So you need to configure this on your system so that whenever you are leaving your screen, it should save whatever you are doing automatically. So what I did is on focus, that's my own setting. So you can say after a delay, you can say on window change, but I use on focused, and then I also do auto save delay, maybe 30 seconds before it delays. So there are other settings there on the system. Another thing again you should have done by now is to install other extensions. The extensions I had in the previous video that I did live, I only talked about Prettier, but I think in the one that I pre-recorded, I talked about Prettier as well. So I think it's only a preview I talked about, or rather, yeah, I preview. So you're supposed to also install Prettier. Prettier is just a way to make your code, well formatted. I will send you the link on how to install Prettier. Apart from installing it, you also need to configure it. So I will send the link to you guys so that your code can start looking nicer and well formatted. Now, let's move on, guys. So now that we've been able to get that out of the way, let's start 102. So if you look at 102, what are and by the way, you guys are still going to go and watch the 102. This is just for me reviewing it. Normally, you're supposed to have gone to review. Or before I start, do you guys have any questions from 101? Class 101. Any question from class 101? Okay, no question. Let's move on. Now, HTML is divided into sections. HTML document. So these are the topic we're going to be looking at. So we are going to be looking at how HTML document is divided. HTML document is divided into two sections. Yeah, two sections, the body and the head. So this is the head here, and then the body, the head of the document and the body of the document. So I will start typing code now. It's time for us to start typing code. And before we start typing code, I will show you some character that you need to familiarize yourself with. We have this left angle, right angle, bracket. We have forward slash. We have double quote. We have single quote. We have, what else do we have? So this character, as we have now, is going to be your friend. We have equal to, we have column, we have semicolon. You are going to be seeing more of these characters as you come into the world of programming. These characters are your best friend. These are the things that you use to give instructions to the computer. So make sure that you find where those characters are on your system, and you can easily get across to them. further you'll be doing all this one. So let me just put them together. So this is open, close. Yeah, this is also open, close. This is also open, close. So you'll be using all these characters, not now, but the ones you'll be using now is this three. So this three is what you'll be using now. In fact, I think you use, the quotes as well now. So we now know their name. This is left angle bracket. This is right angle bracket. This is forward slash, I guess, and this is a quote. Left angle rather. So this is double quote. So just look at the double quote has double sign. A single quote is just one. So guys, familiarize yourself with these characters. Those are the characters you'll be using. So that's the character you will be using, henceforth. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing that we wanted to do. The next thing we wanted to do is now to talk about the way the web is structured. Like I said, it has two sections, major section. The first one is the head section, and the second one is the body. So let's start with the structure. An HTML document starts with the tag HTML. I'll let that sink in. I just mentioned something now, and that is called tag. So let's start with explanation of what a tag is and what. Let me come up with all the nomenclature so that I will explain it and he will go further. So we have what we call elements. We have tag, and we have attributes. So what I want to do right now is I want to put all these things inside comments so that they will not disturb our view. So I'll put it at the bottom. So just for it to be a reference point for us to see what it is we are talking about at the moment, I'll put it here so that we will be checklisting, what we are doing. Let me say element content. So I have four things here, guys. So the first one is element. The second one is tag. The third one is the content of the element, and the fourth one is the attribute. So what's an element? An element is the smallest object in a document, in an HTML document. They are what the document is made up of. Like for example, a human being is made up of atom. Everything in the world now going I'm going science student on you guys. So look at it as the smallest divisible way you can divide every part of the web page. So the smallest component of your web page is called an element. An element has two parts to it. An element has the start part and the end part. So the part that I talk about is that they are made up of tags. Elements are made up of tags. So let's talk about the first element that must start an HTML document. The first element that must start an HTML document is called the HTML element. And the purpose of this element is to define and tell this file that is an HTML document, irrespective of the fact that you put .html at the end. That's just file extension. Inside the document, you need to also tell that, hey, this is HTML document that's you are working with. So this is an instruction to tell the browser that, hey, this is an HTML document, and that is what the work of this one does. So both, you can see that these are two things, this one and these two. The first one is called what? It's called a tag, and the second one is also called a tag as well, but they have differences. Notice what happened to the first one. Ignore the underline. The first one is kind of plain without having the difference between the first and second one is that one has / before it. So the one that doesn't have any other character apart from the bracket is called open tag. The one that has / at the end is called closed tag. So both of them, a pair of tag is called an element. And I've told you what an element is the smallest part of a web page. They are components on your web page. Okay, now I've used this one to define two things. You know what an element is now, and you know that an element 99% of the time has an open tag and then has a close tag. So I'm gonna remove this so that we can see what is happening. The next part that we need to focus on, I mentioned that HTML document has two parts of it. The first part is the head section. The head section also is an element, guys. So everything we'll be dealing with in HTML is elements. And as I said, element has two pairs to it. It has open tag and close tag. So look at what just happened, guys. So the first thing we did was that we have HTML open tag and then we have closed. Inside it, we have what we call another element, a pair of tags. Now, the fact that this tag is inside it makes what is inside it the content of HTML elements. So element content is the child of an element. So this is the major element we are looking at now. So if you were looking at HTML element and you say, hey, what's the child of the HTML element, or what is the content of the HTML element here? In this case, the content of this HTML element is head element. So we'll still go deeper. So let's go. After you must have defined the head section, there are a couple of things you can also, or a couple of tags you can also define in the head section, and that tag is called title tag. Now, the purpose of title tag is to give a title to your HTML page. Notice also what is happening here, guys. It's like it's never ending. We've done HTML. Inside it, we did head. Inside head, we did another title. So title is element content of head. So where do we stop with all this tag? Finally, we can write some English. So let's write my first page. Now, doing this, look at what we have on the right. On the right hand side, you now see the title of the website. It's now saying my first page. That's the benefit, or that's what one of the major things this guy, serves to do when you use title like this. That's what it does. So my first page is now the content of the title elements. I want you guys to get the nomenclature very well. The namings and how you word all these things are very important. So this is an element. All these guys from beginning to the end is an element that has a content called head element. The head element also has a content that is called title element. Title element is a pair of tags that has open tag and close tag. So if I should title all these things now, I can do something like this. I'm spending much time here because this is the fundamental, guys. So if you do not get this fundamental, it might screw up, what it is that you want to do. So you can see that this HTML is an open tag for HTML. This is open HTML tag. This is open head tag. This is open tag for title, while this is the content for title. Don't mind me that I'm writing inside all these things, but I'm just trying to point out what each of them are. Then this one is close tag for what? For title. Then this one is close tag again. Then finally, we also have HTML close tag. So in summary, we've been able to handle 1, 2, 3. So let me clear all the notation that I put there so that we can move on to the next thing. Now, what you've noticed is that, everything is elements. Like I said, everything is going to be elements and tags. Tags is pairs of elements. Yeah, or rather, elements. I don't mix the thing up. Tags are pairs, that makes up an element. Yeah. So you can say, oh, this is a pair of tags, or you can say this is an HTML element. You can word it the way you want to word it. Now, this is the first part of the HTML structure. Where is the second part? The second part is called the body. The body is where the action happens. That's where you see all the gymnastics, all the pictures, all the text moving around. That's what you see immediately you visit the site. You see the pictures and everything like that. So how do you define the body? The body has a tag or an element called body element. I know element has pair of tags. So you can see the open tag and also the close tag for the body. So here you can go ahead and now put the content of the body. So the content is now, whatever you put in the content here is what shows on the body of the website. So I can go ahead and just say hello world. So I'm sure you guys have done this demo, or rather you've done this before, but this is me explaining everything to the structure of how it is, how they came to be. It's not just magic that you type hello world and it shows. There is a process behind it. I'm still going to number 4, guys. We're still going to explain number 4. I just want to bring some things out. Now, the next thing I want to show you is attributes. Attribute gives you more information about an element. Attribute is a way to describe an element more. You can say attribute. If I say, what's your attribute? You will look at my face and say, oh, okay, I have a broad nose, I have a round head. These are attribute, physical things that you can see. So if I say, okay, I want to set the attribute of this web page, and there's one the elements have several attributes, by the way, several attributes that we cannot list all of them all, but we'll just focus on what we call the style attributes. In fact, I think the next class is going to be talking specifically on the style attribute. So let's go ahead and introduce the style attribute. The style attribute is an attribute that applies to all elements. So how do you introduce an attribute? And an attribute is introduced in the open tag. An attribute is specified in the open tag. Where is the open tag for body? Open tag for body is in line 6. And after I must have finished writing my tag, I can go ahead and specify the attribute. The attribute I want to specify is called style. So when you specify the attribute style, you must equate it to something, because now we are saying that we want to let, something look like something. So if I was a human being and I was coding myself, I would say, hey, my attribute for my face is equal to green or brown, or my eye color should be brown or white. So that's what we're trying to do here. Now that I've successfully passed the style as an attribute, I have to set the value of the attribute. So this is a little bit complex, a little bit, because it has a full class. I'll just write it direct. If you don't understand it, don't worry. In the next class, we're going to break it down. So I'll just write one simple thing, guys. So like I said, don't worry if you don't understand what I'm about to write now. We have a full class that explains everything. So in providing a style, I broke this thing down so that I can properly express myself this way. So the first thing I want to do is that I will have the property name of what I want to change. Remember what attribute is all about, is you being specifying what you want to change on the particular element. And in this case, what's the element? The element is body. So I can say, oh, okay, I want to change the background color. And one of the good things about IDEs is that it allows you it brings things out for you that you can easily see. Look at what it's trying to do for me. It's giving me options, in case if I can't remember the spelling, or I can't even recall what the name is, because most of the time you can't cram all these things. So the IDE is supposed to be your partner to help you out to, make your work easier. So I'm going for the background color because this color is too bright. So I want to go for black. So immediately I do black. Look at what happened. It changes that to black. This is what's happening. So we're designing already. The next thing I want to do is, you can see that you can't see the hello world again. The reason because the text itself is black. Now the background is also black. So it means you have to change the text. How do you change the text? Again, there's a property that you can use to control the text. We have a full class on this, guys. We have a full class on this. So I can say color and say white, and I have my result there. Do you have a question? Okay, guys, let's move on. So what I've just demonstrated is how to use an attribute, how attribute works. We have attribute name, and then we have attribute value. This one happens to be a kind of complex attribute. It's a complex attribute because it requires property and value as well. There are simple attributes that you will just specify one or two things and then it will work. So let me give you another form of attributes. Even though it's an advanced class, let me just show you that other ways that attribute works. So let me say I have a link. So this is a tag as well. This is what we call anchor tag. Anchor tag are used to link one page to the next page. So I can say go to Google. So how can it go to Google like this? There's something that will enable it to happen, and that thing is called an attribute, and the attribute name is called href. So if I now say https google.com, if you click on this link now, it will take you to Google. That's the use of attributes. They give you more insights. They control the elements more. They give the elements the properties they are supposed to have. Okay, yeah, you guys have questions? Let me see what next we have on the timeline. You guys are still gonna go and watch this video. So here you can see I talked about that. So the next thing I want to talk about is tag nesting. Okay, so I've already talked about special characters. So let's talk about cloud tag nesting. And yeah, we've already talked about style attributes. So this class is almost ending. So tag nesting is ability for you not to put a tag over another tag. It's ability for you not to place a tag over another tag. So in such a way that they will overlap. Notice what I've done here. Notice that these tags are not overlapping each other. Overlapping means that one starting and the other one ending, in a wrong place. So look at this now, guys. So look at this title now. Imagine I have this title here. So you can see the head starts, but the head starts and the head closes. But the title starts, the title did not close. The title is closing somewhere else. So this is like overlap. So this is not a proper way to nest a tag. And if you have started writing code, you will notice that immediately you open a tag, it closes, you're supposed to close it automatically so that you can put your content inside and not forget to close your tag. So the more you write this code, the more you will be able to follow through all these things. Another thing that is on this is the assignment. There's an assignment, guys. Assignment is in the video. And that assignment is there's a special assignment, guys. So you will click it and then do the assignment. Let me show you that so that you see what I'm talking about. Okay, so if you look at the screen now, you will see that's 40 minutes 03. You have assignment. So you're supposed to do this assignment and submit as well. So you can submit your assignment either in the group or you send it to me personally. No, just send it to me personally instead. You can send it to me personally. I will explain how you're going to submit that. So that's for today's class. I will also be sending the link of today's class to you guys, and they want this one as well so that you can watch this one.
Okay, sir.